Passage by Connie Willis. Joanna Lander is a psychologist working at Mercy General Hospital. She spends her time talking to patients who were clinically dead and then got brought back, trying to understand what near-death experiences really are. A guy named Maurice Mandrake keeps getting in her way. He shows up early, asks people leading questions about lights and tunnels and messages from the other side, then writes books claiming it's all proof of life after death. It messes up her research because patients start repeating what he wants to hear. Then neurologist Richard Wright contacts Joanna. He has a drug that can safely put someone into a state that feels like a near-death experience while he scans their brain. Joanna teams up with him to study people's brain activity during this induced state, but they run out of people willing to try the drug, so Joanna decides to do it herself. When she goes under, she doesn't see the usual tunnel or bright light. Instead, she keeps ending up on the Titanic right as it's sinking. She walks the decks, feels the ship tilting, hears the panic, watches the water come in. At the same time, the hospital's everyday frustrations, closed-off hallways, wrong turns, phones that ring forever without anyone picking up, start to feel connected to what's happening in these visions. She gets to know a young girl patient named Maisie who has a bad heart condition. Maisie deals with it by reading everything she can about real disasters like the Titanic and the Hindenburg, and she ends up sharing details that slip into Joanna's experiences. Joanna figures out the key thing. These near-death experiences aren't visits to heaven or anything supernatural. They're the brain's last desperate try to stay alive. As parts of the body shut down, the brain fires off signals, trying to reroute and kickstart the system again, like a ship sending out SOS calls even while it's going under. Before she can tell Richard what she's learned, Joanna gets stabbed in the ER by a confused patient high on drugs. She dies for real, right there. After that, the story follows two tracks. In the hospital, Richard and the others are wrecked by her death. The funeral is a mess. Her sister shows up and makes it awkward, and Mandrake tries to spin it for his own book. They scramble to piece together what Joanna discovered by talking to everyone she saw in her last hours and digging through her notes. Eventually, they get enough to isolate the brain chemicals involved. They turn that into a treatment that can help pull people back from the edge, including saving Maisie when her heart gives out so she can get her transplant. Running alongside that are chapters from inside Joanna's actual death. After the Titanic goes down, she's floating on some wreckage in the icy water. Her memories of real life are fading. She's there with a little girl, pulled from Maisie's stories, and a French bulldog. They talk quietly while drifting. Then a ship shows up on the horizon. It's not the one that rescued Titanic survivors, and it's not the ship that picked up the bodies. It's the USS Yorktown, a World War II carrier that sank in battle. A ship that came up earlier in random stories another patient told. Joanna sees its antennas that look like crosses. She wonders if this is just one final confused spark in her brain as it shuts down completely, or something more. The book ends right on that moment, with her waving at the ship. Joanna stays dead. No comeback. The ending leaves room for how you read it. It can feel like the very last bits of her mind trying to make sense of things with whatever scraps are left. Or it can feel like a quiet, in-between place, almost gentle, with a kid and a dog while everything winds down. Connie Willis has said she doesn't pin it to one answer, but the science side of the story points toward it all being the brain's final, electrical activity.